I feel like we should be playing music for this
I know.
guest. Here we are. We're back again for another edition of Tell Me Something Good. And this is where we bring on celebrities, entertainers, CEOs. Today's guest is all of those. She is the CEO of JA, which is a cause that is near and dear to my heart, not any more near and dear than it is to Laurie Sallarulo. Welcome to Tell Me Something Good.
Good day. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, near and dear. Junior achievement for sure is a passion of mine. Its mission is a passion of mine. As a parent, I always tell people, we want our kids to be happy and we want them to be healthy. But at the end of the day, it's our job to prepare them, right, to be happy and healthy and successful in whatever that means for them. And so I get to do that and lead an organization that does that for over 50,000 students a year, right? Helping them find their passion and inspiring them to be successful. So it is absolutely near and dear to my heart.
So I know you as a go-getter and through a couple of other career stops where we've met and we instantly, had this bond and we've worked together before. But I would love for you to educate my audience on exactly what junior achievement is. I know that you take care of 50,000 kids, but I don't think people get the scope of, what the actual, to do is and why a guy like me would spend the majority of my time giving back to that audience as well.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes people say, oh, yeah, I've heard of junior achievement, but they don't really know exactly what we do sometimes, right? And so in a nutshell, Junior Achievement is the largest nonprofit organization in the world. We are global, that is dedicated to preparing young people for the future around entrepreneurship, career skills, and financial literacy. And if there has ever been a time, and I truly believe this, I have always been passionate about this mission, but if there has ever been a time in our, at least in for a really long time, that financial literacy, right? Being in small businesses and how to run businesses and deal with issues and managing them through tough times and having the career skills to pivot, right? And transfer during a time like this, there has never been a time that this is more important, in my opinion.
I think that's so incredibly well put. In a lot of the work that I do, I always say you should be the CEO of your own life. That will dictate lots of decisions that CEOs make. And as we look at this organization that you have and what happened 8 weeks ago, can you share with with kids at home and, your staff and all of the events, the Hall of Fame for Entrepreneurs, so many things that JA has done and that I'm involved in. Can you share with people, what the hell happened?
Well, I don't know that any of us know what the hell happened, okay? But I do know this. I can kind of start for a moment and say to you that I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is that Junior Achievement practices what it preaches. And so as an organization, as a board member, right, you have been involved in this. And as an organization, we made sure, and our donors and supporters have been so instrumental in this, right? Making sure that we are living what we're teaching, which is paying down debt, right? Making sure that you're saving for that rainy day, negotiating your contracts. That's stuff we should be doing all the time, not just right now. And that's what we had been doing for the last I would say 3 to 4 years consistently. And so I am very, very proud that we came into this very healthy, in a really good place, or in the best place, right, that an organization would be, especially one that relies on donations and support. But I think that and the other part is technologically and innovatively, we had already begun to go down the digital learning path, right? And so we had already started to create digital virtual learning opportunities. And so now we've just accelerated that. And so now we are bringing career skills through people like you virtually through lessons, people teaching the lessons. So there's so many opportunities to get involved in this virtually, to volunteer, to mentor, to speak to students, tell your story. And that's what makes this JA so different, Steve. I think that's the key. You can stand in front of a classroom and try to teach kids about career skills, and you can tell them what it takes. But you know what? Till you're experiencing it, till you're running that business, and these kids are running real businesses with real money, okay? And until you experience it, it's not the same. And that's what makes JA so different. It's so experiential, and it's all about bringing real life together with the classroom.
You know, it's phenomenal. You know, there's a great alumni, group of people who share their stories. Jake was a candidate because of the Broward schools. So in his day, he went. But, you know, for me, I always go back to when I was growing up, there was no such thing as an entrepreneur. That word didn't really exist. And so, you know, I only think like, wow, if I had somebody teach me early about what it was, and, you know, that I could really define my path the way some of the kids are. I know some of the most memorable times are when I've been a judge at the Shark Tank events, where the kids are innovating and making presentations and doing stuff that is mind-blowing for kids of that age. And so, you know, I love that, you know, we know the future is in good hands with stuff like that. Yeah. As a leader, so you have a couple of different constituents. You know, you have the board, which is made up of 65 of us, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, look close, 63. Right.
Who are all A personalities in their own right. So that's a job I'm not sure I would give to anybody. You have the schools, you know, you deal with the schools, then you deal with the kids themselves. So you're answering to multiple different audiences. But one of the things I love about you is, number one, your commitment to get better yourself as a CEO. And I remember when you took over and how excited I was for you when you were like, holy shit, I gotta get better.
I walked into a really difficult situation, right?
Correct.
My predecessor was killed suddenly, and the organization was in grief and mourning, and financially they were struggling. And so the organization was not in a healthy place financially. And so I was really hesitant to walk into this situation to begin with. I'm being really honest. And I told the people who interviewed me,
the conversations we've had, but where I want to steer this is that not only did you commit to getting the organization better and you getting better, you understood the value of team. And, you know, I think one of your greatest, you used the word joy, and it's kind of hard to have or look, you got to look for joy in the circumstances. So share with me what you've built there and how confident you are in what's happening outside of you.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, I think that building your team is the most important thing that you can do. And that includes the staff and the board for me, right? For our organization, it's both of those things. And I think, you know, this sounds cliche and every book says it. And if you read Good to Great, which most of us have read, the right people on the bus is critical. And I will tell you that this has not been a quick journey. This has not been a just, you know, a sprint. This has been a marathon. Okay. This has taken me the entire 5 years. Well, the first year was just surviving, right? And getting us to a place where we could do some good things and make some changes. So I would say the last 4 years has really been a focus of mine, was to build a solid, strong team and a great culture. And I would tell you that it has taken this long. And so change is hard for people, but I think making sure that you have those right people in the right positions is critical. And I will tell you, I did use the word joy, because I will tell you that 2 years ago, if you would have talked to me, or a year ago, my biggest frustration would have been building the right team and building the culture, because you can do everything you want for people. But if their mindset is not the right mindset and they don't have the same values and they're not focused on the why, forget it. You can give them every perk there is. It won't matter. Okay. So I think, but I can tell you this, that today, going into this, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the team that was in place. And I will tell you that it has been an absolute joy, as I said, to watch them come together, to create together, to innovate, to trust each other and rely on each other. The bond that has been built, I hear CEOs talk about, oh, well, my people they're on the couch and they're not working and I don't trust them. Steve, I don't have any of those thoughts going through my head, because what my people are pumping out is amazing stuff and amazing ideas, and amazing strategies to bring this education to young people. So,
which I love. My commitment to work ethic and passion, and this whole dialogue about servant leadership. Servant leadership is a dance. You don't do it yourself. I hear a lot of CEOs talk about it, but actually doing it and really taking a genuine interest in your people and building them is really, really hard work, number one. And one of the things you and I have discussed, offline, is it's very disappointing, because sometimes you just have aspirations for somebody that's just not their roadmap. It's not where they're supposed to be. So you wind up in times like this, where this is the test that you built it for.
Yeah.
This is why you built the machine you built, so that it could withstand stuff like this. And so, if you listen to the news, they're telling you everything is off. Not everything is off. I mean, there are real, spots of growth during time like this. So, your people, you gave them the chance.
Yeah. I think there have been two key things that I'll tell you have contributed to where the team is today. One of them was the wrong people on the team are no longer on the team. So we made that commitment about a year ago to say, if they're not the right people for the team, we need to have the courage to step up and make sure that they're not a part of the team. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
Listen, they can be great somewhere else, but they may just not be right for us, or they may just not believe totally in our mission and be passionate about our why. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was committing to their growth. And the way that we did that, and the way that I chose to do it, was through a book. And actually, we're doing a series of books. And I chose the books by Mark Miller, who is the leadership development guru at Chick-fil-A. And so nobody has better culture, right, than Chick-fil-A.
Pretty good roadmap there. Right?
Pretty good roadmap. And so we started with Mark's first book, and a couple of them he wrote with Ken Blanchard. And they're short and they're fictional, but every book has 3 to 5 principles in there. And the first book talked about how it doesn't matter what your title is. You are all leaders in your organization. And to have our first book club meeting after they read the first chapters, and they said, that blew me away, that I am a leader in this organization, even though I don't have the title of CEO. That was mind-blowing for them. And by the way, those books are all geared and all centered around servant leadership. And now you hear my team say, how can I serve you? How can I help you? And there's not a call I have with one of my people that I don't say at the end, how can I help you? How can I serve you?
You find that high-performing businesses, which yours is a business, it does operate with the same principles, even though it's a nonprofit. You find that they self-police themselves. You look at great teams like the New England Patriots. They've been able to take guys that didn't fit well somewhere else because of their individual personality and put them in a high-functioning culture that says, that's not going to fly here. That's not how we operate. So when the culture pushes people out, then it's not you being the big bad, I'm going to make changes. Hey, this doesn't work for us. That is incredibly empowering.
Well, and by the way, I just had this discussion with one of my directors this morning. She had a discussion with another employee about something that she wasn't, I guess, real happy about. And so I said to her, well, how did you frame the conversation? So it was a coaching moment. And she said, I used one of our values and said, because this is what we do. So we have 3 main We have 3 core values, and then under each of those is about 5 to 7 things that fit under that category. And she said, I explained to that person that, right, this is one of our 17 core values. I think there's 17 altogether. And she said, and so I didn't see your behavior didn't line up with that. Well, that's a whole different conversation, right? Then I didn't like the way you did that. Well, then it's about me.
Well, it's personal. Right? And it's like,
right.
What? Right.
But in this conversation, in the conversations we're trying to have, it's around the value. And when this team starts to hold each other accountable for those values and for your behaviors, I no longer have to be the big bad wolf.
Oh, it's been, for me, the work that I've done with your team, they're so engaged. They are so hungry for new information. I mean, the stuff that we've done recently on time management, on LinkedIn, they are so out of their minds to get better. That in and of itself is contagious. So, one of the things in this environment that we're talking about, a virus, things that are contagious. Well, there are good things that are contagious too. There's good things you get addicted to, like learning. You're a learning institution.
Right.
And what a misnomer to think that you wouldn't be learning yourselves. And it happens all the time. It happens.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I'm committed to constantly growing, whether it's personally or professionally. The book's on my desk. I very rarely read fiction. Unfortunately, I am a leadership development geek, I guess you could say. And I'm so excited that my team is responding the way they are, because watching them want to grow and be as excited about it as I am. And by the way, I've learned so much through those books. It's easy for us as leaders to forget to ask that question, how can I help you? It's easy for us, especially for somebody like me, and I admit this. It's all about, okay, great. That was great. You did that. Okay, now what's next, right? I'm always on to what can we do? What more can we do, right? It's about that. I posted a video about being relentless, right? It's never enough for somebody like me, right? But that's okay. But I have to remember to say, wow, that's amazing. Let's celebrate that. And now let's say, how do we go to the next level for next year or for the next thing? And so I think it's finding that balance between those two things.
So, when we focus in on you, which is what this program is about, tell us something good. You've shared some great stuff, but what parallels for me, or what jumps out at me, is that you've created a sales culture. You understand yourself and the people around you, how the organization is supported by donations and by sponsorship. And you can't be the only one focused on that. And it's fascinating because the word sales is actually a derivative from a Scandinavian word that means to serve. And so somewhere along the line, salespeople got this notion that they just got to jam shit down people's throats. For me, it's about, hey, what can I do to serve your organization? And you know what? You'll get your fair due. So I want you to kind of comment on the balance between leading your team internally and then leading externally, because I think you do an unbelievable job on the outside in the community.
Thank you. So I think you're right. I think that it's taken a little while, but one of the things was that I was committed to, and we're there. We're at the very beginning stages of this. It was shifting the mindset of the team, right? It's from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset. So that was the overarching piece of it, right? They now own their program. You own who works for you. You own what your budget is. You own what resources you need. You own the outcomes. You own the measurements. You own it all. And at the end of the day, right, I'm just putting my stamp on it and you're off and running with your business, right? It's your business. And so I think that was the first thing, was creating that mindset. And what, to your point about sales, I say to them, every single one of us is a sales rep of this company. Every single one of us is a customer service rep of this company. And so what we're starting to see is our director of volunteer services has brought in 3 new donors this past year.
Wow.
We didn't have that before. somebody who's out there working with the corporations, setting up internships for our students for the summer, is now saying to these companies, hey, wait a minute, you do internships with us. Would you be interested in supporting one of our programs right here? They're now getting that whole mindset of we're all in sales, right?
Which
and so I think
for me, that's music to my ears, man.
I think that has been a critical shift in our organization.
I love it. And, for what people need to hear now, and the reason why I created this opportunity for people like you to share is that even in the midst of turmoil, you're so grounded and so focused. You do an amazing job. In our last few seconds here, what do you want to leave the audience with? Any thoughts? I was going to go into food and share the fact that I'm drinking you.
Well, I don't have the food. I don't have any foods that I ever met that I didn't like. So I'm not playing any favoritisms right now to anything. But I think if I could leave you with anything, and this crosses over from my personal life to my professional life, and that is relationships, right? And building that circle of support. And whether it's supporting the organization or supporting a cause, or whether it's supporting me personally, right? My friends, my family, relationships truly are the key for me to everything. And I think that's how I actually entered into nonprofit. I came from corporate, then was a stay-at-home mom. In my first job as a director of development, the guy said, "You don't have anything on your resume." I'm like, "I know, but I have great relationships in the community, and I could sell ice to the igloo, right? Whatever, ice to the Eskimos. So, maybe you'll give me a chance." And he did. And it was because of those relationships that in my first experience in nonprofit, we grew from $1 million to $5 million. And so it is absolutely about relationships. And you never know. Plant those seeds, because you never know. We've gotten calls recently, like you were saying, of, hey, there's this grant opportunity and we want JA to be a part of it. And so it's just continuing to plant those seeds and build those relationships.
You are so awesome. I am so fortunate to have you in my life. I'm thrilled to be part of JA, and I can't wait till this is all gone and I can come give you and Patrick and Mike a big hug and eat some lasagna.
Listen, I had to hide in the bedroom because otherwise Patrick would have wanted to be on the show, because
you could have brought him on. I love that.
Every recipe for success, I call him the producer now. He shows up. So
I love it. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you. And that is certainly something good.
Thank you. Love you. Wow.